To create a user edit, you use the define edits program, and we'll go into the same file that we're used to going into. And it asks us, is this a new dictionary? Because there are no local edits for this particular file profile VG_customer. There's a global table that applies to all the file profiles, and we're not going to be putting that in that table. We're going to put in a couple edits in this table. So yes, I want to create a new table specifically for VG customers. These edits wouldn't be available to another file, just this file. Let's name it. We have a few characters here that we can name it. Let's say we want to make an edit called customer type. Okay, let's say, how about C_type? There we go. Now, what I want to allow in this, let's say we have customers and they're either dealers or customers. They're actually people who get a better price because they're dealers, or they're just end users and customers. And we want to be able to tell them apart by putting a character on their record. How about a D or C? D for dealer. We go with D for dealer. Or, here's the symbol for or, pipe, a C. Now, this is a user edit. It basically says, if I put this type of edit in the defined files as a type, FilePro will only allow a capital D or a capital C in this edit. Now, obviously, how do I know that? If I type, I look for the help in this file, it shows me that I can either see prompt, the prompted type help, or I can see syntax help. Let's look at this. Here are the things that edits allow. They allow, you can say that I want to take characters, throw some away, add some, change them around, just like a FilePro phone edit pushes characters around and adds parentheses and so forth. It does it by means of these little function things here. You see that it's showing you backslash and backslash this and caret and percent, tilde. All these things do various things inside an edit. It was even showing you before that actually a moment ago I saw one that said this or that. FilePro will take this or that, and that's the pipe symbol where we say I want to take either this X or Y. You see where it says either expression is permitted. Okay, you can read this help at your leisure. Here's what I want to show you about creating edits. You can press T for testing. Let's test this edit. Let's just see how it works. The edit name is C-type that we want to test. There might be hundreds of them here, and we want to test it for a length of only one character, so we'll put in one character. Now here's where it says, okay, what type of test data would you put in there? Let's put in an X. X, edit failed at cursor position. No good. Y, no good. Let's put a D. No good. Okay, I thought it was supposed to take D's and C's. Should take a C. No. This edit says specifically take capital D, data passed, or capital C. See, this is testing the edit and seeing whether it's working the way I want it to, and it is. This edit type actually does exactly what I want, except that I'd like the user not to have to press a capital D or a capital C, so I'm going to insert with F1 a character, and that character happens to be a tilde. That says, don't care about case. Whether they take a lowercase d or an uppercase C or a lowercase c, accept it. Either lower or uppercase. So I'm going to press escape. Let's test this one. We've changed the edit a little bit. 1. Now I'm going to try a lowercase d. Oh, that passes. Lowercase c, that passes. And it also forces it to go uppercase. That's part of what the tilde does. It accepts lowercase and forces it up to uppercase, which is kind of cool. A little x it won't take, a capital X it won't take, D it'll take, big D it'll take, big C, etc. You get the point about this. Now there's one other thing. Let's make this edit just a little neater. And we can do that by F1, 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 F1. By the way, the tilde takes effect wherever you put it on the line. If anything in front of this tilde would not be forced to uppercase. And you can read this in the help. If you do look at the help, it will tell you things that, like the tilde takes effect on the line. There it is right there, and it tells you that it takes effect wherever, takes effect where it occurs on the line and so forth. In other words, you can have part of the edit that doesn't get forced uppercase and part that does and so forth. But I'm pushing using F1 and remember F2. Oops, I pressed F3 by mistake. So So pull that back up again. F2 sucks things that way, F1 pushes things that way, because I want to put a comment here also. And that when the cursor goes into any field that uses this type, I want it to say, I use D equals dealer, comma, C equals, how about customer? Of an apostrophe. Spaces are not important in edits unless they're, well, they are important, but it's very strange that you have to see where they are important. You realize that generally spaces are not important. You see, I have a space here, and I don't have to. I could put one. I could do this just like that. Also, take a D or a C. But I like to put spaces generally for clarity. Okay. I've just added that by putting something in between apostrophes just before the actual edit. That becomes a prompt that will be seen at the bottom of the screen when they use this edit. So let's go into Define Files and add a field that uses this edit. BG. Okay, I'll go to the end of the file. Let's put another reserve field just to keep some space. Let's first of all, before we use this edit up, let's add a customer code. Every customer file, for each, you might have two customers like with very similar names, and you want to have a unique code for every customer that maybe takes part of their name, but let's say an 8-character unique code, and let's give it one of the types we're used to, and all up. We want it to always go capitals, but we're going to always put in a unique customer code for every single customer. We might have a customer named John Smith that doesn't have a company. And he's just John Smith by himself. And we might have two John Smiths. How would you tell one John Smith apart from another John Smith if you don't have a unique customer code for each? You might want to call one John Smith 1 and John Smith 2. In some way, we're going to put a unique customer code with each customer record, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. Let's how about this dealer type we're talking about, cust type? Let's say it's 1 up and it's C type. In other words, we're only going to allow them to put a D or a C in this field. The user can specify which customers are dealers and which are customers. Let's add something else. One last thing. Let's add customer discount. Does the customer get a discount? And how much? Let's make it a 2-character .0 field. Now what that .0 means is that I want an integer. In other words, something with no places after the decimal point. 0 places. If I put a 2 here, this would be and I made this field, let's say, 8 characters long. That would be an 8-character field with 2 decimal points. It would be numeric, but it would be like money. 6 real integer values, and then a period, and then 2 decimal places. And it would force the 2 decimal places. In other words, it would always put 2 zeros if you didn't put any decimal places or something. It will consider that you need 2 decimal places. In this case, we only want 2 total characters. We don't want any decimal points, so I can put a number from 0 to 99 in that type of a field. And it would have to be a number, a real number, because I'm going to do some math on this field. I'm going to, I press escape. I'm going to find out what their discount is and apply it to their invoices maybe, and add it, and subtract it from their total build and so forth. I'm going to use this number numerically, so I'm using a system edit, and it's an integer, .0. How many integers do I want? Up to 2, up to 99. They might get a 10% discount. I'll put a 10 in that field, or a 20, and then I'll show you how to do the math to make this function. Let's go look at some of this. I'm going to, I'll try and create a screen 0, but I doubt it's going to happen. When I press the screen 0, when I do that, it tells me, okay, now you've gone too far. I can't fit any more fields. Only the first 17 fields will fit on this screen. That's okay. In the next section, we'll go test some of these fields out.